Hi, Stitchers. Welcome to Tatreez Talk, where we share conversations about Palestinian embroidery. I'm Lena, here with my co-host Amani, chatting with talented embroiderers and artists, sharing their stories, inspirations, and the cultural significance behind their work.
On today's episode, we are chatting with Tala and Joann Totah, two Palestinian Tatreez artists and cousins who are part of my local Bay Area Tatreez community and my local Tatreez sisters. Welcome to Tatreez Talk, Tala and Joann. I'm so excited to finally have you guys here.
Thanks for having Team Totah.
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
so excited.
I'm a big fan of Team Totah.
I love it. I love it. Well, to kick us off, we like to ask our guests to tell our listeners a little bit about you and your family's connection to Palestine. So maybe we can start off with Tala and then Joanne.
Yeah. So both my parents are from Palestine. My mom is from Ramallah, and some of the family is still in Ramallah, but a lot of them have scattered kind of everywhere. And you'll hear more about that Totah side from Joanne. And then my dad is also from Palestine. His family is in the Ramle, which is near Jaffa. So yeah, both big Palestinian families. Yeah.
Are you related to Amani? Have we figured that out?
We haven't. I
No.
don't think we are though.
Do you guys have any Muslim cousins?
I don't think so,
There
unfortunately.
are there actually are
Really? We do?
Muslim Todas. There are Muslim Todas, how we're related, but they exist.
Yeah, but see, that's from the Ramallah part. I'm the Ramle part.
No, Ramla.
Yeah, her dad's side.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Maybe Joanne, do you want to go next?
Well, my parents are both Palestinian. My father came here in 1952, so shortly after the Nakba, which today marks the 77th anniversary of the ongoing Nakba. So my dad's from Ramallah, same place where Tala's mom is from. And my mom's family is from Taiba. It is the one of the last remaining Christian villages. Little bit, I mean, let's say 15 kilometers outside of Ramallah. People might know it because of the beer that comes out of there, Taiba beer, Taste the Revolution. I still have family in Taiba, and other parts of the West Bank. So I have been blessed with the opportunity to go back home several times in my life. Yeah, and it's a very special place to my heart, right? I think it's one of the first times I met Amani. I told her the first thing that we had in common was how she says she's aggressively Palestinian. And my response is,
Yes.
if someone asks, I always say I'm hella Palestinian, right? Like half Bay
Hmm.
Area, half Palestinian, have to insert the
Yes.
hella in there.
Yeah, you Bay Area Palestinians are next level.
Yes, we are. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. We try. We try.
I love it. Okay, wait, one quick also relationship question. Are we related to Pam? Did I ask you
Um,
already?
So I have sent Pam the Toda family tree. I am obsessed with their family lineage and genealogy, and I asked her to like identify which part on the tree, right? So like Tala and I are like on the right hand side, she's on like the upper left hand side. So
The
close
Totah
enough.
family is huge.
It
Rolling
Like,
is.
deep.
there are
I
a
love it.
lot of us.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a big contingency here in the Bay Area because even I, growing up, like my
Hmm.
mom had friends in the Tota family. And yeah, there's a lot of y'all.
Yeah. But like,
Mashallah
we don't
alaikum.
know each other.
Because
There's
there's
so
so
Which
many
is
many of
of you.
us, and we're not
which is
close.
why it was a gift that Tala and I found each other.
Yes.
Given because when people are like, Toda, are you related to so and so? And I'm like, no, right? But like
Yeah.
this one connection was easy to put together.
Totally. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to talk about that. And that like kind of leads us in perfectly. Like we talk about like your family's connection to Palestine, but of course, like where does Tatreez come into your life? Obviously it brought you two together, which I'm excited for you guys to share that story. But kind of where was that start? And so Joanne, let's start with you. Where Tatreez kind of came into your life and where your Tatreez journey took you.
I love this question. So, my mom was a Tatreez expert. I did not have the opportunity to learn from her. She died when I was young.
I love that.
But I have her stuff around the house, right? And I've always seen it more so as like, what's covering your coffee table or under like Tata's TV. I always saw it in those capacities until I started purchasing pieces back home. But so my mom was a Tatreez expert. I went back home in 2016, 2017, and in true like Palestinian auntie form, I was at an aunt's office and I was like, wow, that's a really beautiful piece. It was the first time that I saw the geometric patterns of Tatreez. And it wasn't Ramallah red, right? It was like these beautiful hues of blue. And it just stood out to me. And she takes it off the wall and she hands it to me, right? Like you can never say something's nice to an auntie because she's immediately going to gift it to you. So I have that I'm looking at every single day. And that definitely influenced me because my brain really loves geometry, right? Just how I see things. I love patterns. I love geometry. So between having my mom's DNA and once I picked up the needle, I couldn't put it down, that gift from my mom's cousin. I was also gifted a beautiful thobe like
Mm.
several years ago from a really good friend. But again, I didn't really understand what went into it, right? Like,
Yeah.
sure, handmade gift, beautiful. But again, when I started being like, ooh, Pasha's tent, ooh, and started being able to pick out different motifs, I'm like, wow, this is incredible. I think this was also at the same time Lena was working on her thobe. So like I started seeing like what that process would look like. Again,
Yeah.
just building towards the inspiration. Um, I have a museum of Palestine in my house. And in my museum, I have different forms, right? I have like a handala or like the map of Palestine or like olive trees, but never like the geometric patterns again. So like once I saw the patterns, that's what drew me to it. So it's always been in my life, but when it became a part of my actual existence and when my hobby became my personality, was courtesy of Lena. After October 7th, she offered a Tatreez 101 class that supported children or mental health for kids in Gaza. And it was more of the, okay, this is doing something for me and doing something for them. And as a trained behavior analyst, I knew I had to stop scrolling, just like everyone else, spending 15 hours online. I knew I had to do something incompatible with my hands and I had to change my behavior and I had to do something else. So I picked up that needle in November of 2023 and I haven't put it down since. So thank you, Lena, for helping a hobby or an incompatible behavior become a huge part of my life and my personality and an opportunity to express so much of what this art form means to us.
Yeah, no, you did all of it. And it's just the beauty of Tatreez. Thank you for taking the course and actually following it. There are so many people who pay for these things and they don't actually take the course.
Oh
So
no, the second you release updates, I'm like signing in on them. All of it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I was reflecting on your answer too, Joanne. I also just grew up with Tatreez everywhere. Like it's all over the house. My mom is also like a huge Tatreez expert. So her work is just all over the house. It's framed. I just like grew up seeing it and it was very normal to me. Um, but and I grew up going to Palestine in the summers when I was a little kid, and my grandma was still alive, and my grandma is also huge in Tatreez. So like her house in Ramallah is full of Tatreez stuff. So yeah, so growing up, it was just always like a constant. And I didn't actually think about doing it myself until after college. When you're young and dumb and you're just like doing your thing. But once college ended, you always think about like, what is life? What am I doing with myself? Who am I? So that's when I started being like, I should do Tatreez. Um, and so I was like, my mom's an expert. She's great. So I tried to learn from her, and it went so badly. Um,
This is
uh,
a common thing, by the way. Like I feel like many people have said, like, try to learn from my mom,
Mm.
try to learn from my grandma, try to learn from my Fata, and it was intense.
it was intense. Yes. I mean, she's so good.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing it with her, she's like, that's wrong. That's wrong. Or no, that's not right. Or I'd do something and she'd flip the back and be like, what is this? Like this isn't Tatreez. And I'm like, Mom, I'm
Amani,
trying.
don't become that person. Don't become that
Haram.
person.
No, Tala has taken my class before. I'm not like
It's
that.
true. It's
I'm not
true.
like that. I always tell people it's for me, not for you. For me.
Yeah, yeah. But I think it is such a cultural like pressure in Tatreez. Even if you say it's for you, like that's what we are told Tatreez should be. And so I gave up and I didn't do it for probably like a year. And then I had a roommate who was Palestinian and she was doing Tatreez and her backs weren't that good. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I picked it up again, and this time I just like self-taught because I already knew what it was. My mom had already gave me the basics.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, this time I'm gonna start doing it, but then just not tell anyone. So nobody looks at it. I'm just doing it on my own. And then I just became addicted and I loved it. And I felt free from like having a clean back or having it to be perfect because it was just for me. Um, and that's when I really got to like experience Stutzies, I think, and experience the like magic of it when it was like, yeah, freed from these like norms and rules.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I know we always talk about it at our circles and we joke about clean back, messy back and all of that.
Hmm.
But I'd love to because I know this is something that other people stress out about a little bit and like worry about because there is like especially this old school mentality of like this is how it must be done.
Hmm.
I'd love for you to kind of talk a little bit more about how you got comfortable with kind of like releasing that pressure on yourself because I do feel like a lot of Palestinians, especially those of us in diaspora, we tend to put the most pressure on ourselves about being the quote unquote perfect Palestinians. So I'd love for you to kind of share a little bit more with the listeners about your journey.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of it was like actually stepping. I mean, this is kind of counterintuitive, but kind of stepping out of the Tatreez community a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
being like, okay, this practice is for me. And so how
Mm.
can I connect to this practice? Um, and that was my way of being like, okay, I don't actually care what the back looks like. Like for me, even if the back is messy, it is beautiful and it is like handmade. It's what I've done. And it's my way to connect to Palestine and my ancestors. Um, and so I think that was like my first foyer into just being okay with a messy back. But then as I kept practicing, like my stuff looks great,
Hmm.
and no one looks at the back unless you flip it. And like, how dare you touch my work? So then
Yes, boundaries.
so then I just started getting like more and more like fierce about Team Messy Back. Like I think when I first started it was less like I think this is great and it's more like there was a little shame around it, but I'm just gonna keep doing it because I like it and I'm having fun. But the
Mhm.
more I did it, I was like, no, actually, this is a thing that shouldn't be like we shouldn't be ashamed about having a messy back. Like having a clean back can be a barrier and I know it's the way our relatives did it. I mean, my mom has made that very well known. I understand. I've seen all my relatives, Tatreez. I know it's the ancestral historical way. And everybody loves to talk about how they're, preserving thread. Which I mean, you guys, I really
It's
want to
66 cents. You
exactly.
can
I
waste your
really like,
thread.
do you really not have the resources for thread like right now in diaspora? Like, I don't know. So I just
You
think
better thread shame them, girl.
yes. I don't know. I think it's just like there are other ways for me to emulate and carry on the traditions of my
Yeah,
mom and my teta.
yeah,
And if the way for me to do that is by having a messy back, then mashallah, that's my back.
yeah,
And I just, yeah, I think what you were saying too, Amani, like it's this like this need for perfectionism and to be exactly the way my mom and my teta are. And I'm not, right? I grew up in
yeah,
diaspora. I have a completely different life. I have totally
yeah.
different privileges and that's okay. I can take what I have and be creative in that way and do things a little differently. Um, and then, okay, my last pitch about messy back is that if I wanted something perfect, like pristine and perfect, then just get a machine made thing. Because handmade, like part of the beauty of it being handmade is that there are going to be mistakes. And so, yeah, I'm proud of being Team Messy Back. I know this is going to be controversial in the Tatreez community, but I think us chaotic messy stitchers deserve to be in the community too. So,
Yes. And honestly,
Absolutely.
I don't think it's going to be as controversial as you think. I think there's a lot more team messy
I
back.
think you might be actually helping people by sharing that manifesto.
thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. It is a
Yeah.
manifesto. You are right.
Mhm.
There we go. I love it. You're on a mission. I'm not mad about it.
Okay, wait. So it's been alluded to before, but I want to hear the story of how you guys connected through
Well,
these.
Team Messy Back is part of it.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. So Joanne, you
All
go for
right.
it.
So the Messy Back Manifesto is what brought us together.
Is this
Like
written
I
down somewhere? This
no, I
I think
actually
it
I
should
know the
be.
timeline. The manifesto,
Yes,
it's in
Yeah,
yes.
I
Tala's
think we might
Yeah.
need to create one and
Yeah.
share with the Tatreez
It's
Happily,
like
it's
happily.
in
community.
Tala has it in her phone.
Yes, I have
Um,
it in my notes app.
so like I said, so I started Tatreez in November of 2023, and then 2024, my word of the year was community. I needed to find a different, better community. I am truly an introvert and I don't generally go to things or community events, but so I went January of 2024 to one of the first Tatreez circles, or my first Tatreez circle in Berkeley. The way that the tables were set up then, it was like U-shaped. So I had my back to Tala, and Tala was there. I had my back to Tala, but I was overhearing what she was saying, speaking to another Tetreezer and just talking about a messy back. And it's okay if it's messy. And this was the first time I ever heard anyone say this. But again, I wasn't in her conversation. I wasn't even looking at her. But I left like that was like the best therapeutic hour, not just because of the Tetris, but like someone randomly gave me permission to not have a clean back. So I had this mantra in my head since January. I continue to go to a couple of other Tetris circles, but it wasn't until May of last year. So happy 1 year anniversary, Cuzzo.
Oh.
Where we were cleaning up, like folding chairs, and I just turned around and I looked at her and I was like, "Are you the one that's like into the messy backs?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, oh, and I just let her know. I was like, "I don't think you know this, but like, I probably owe you $250 for an hour of free therapy." Like, just hearing you say that has changed my entire perspective. And sure, my back's got cleaner because I am truly type A and I want the perfection, but just knowing that it was okay
Mhm.
in someone's brain. So when I asked her that, it was like I don't know, maybe a 5-10 minute conversation. We were just cleaning up. But while I was looking at her face, I'm like, she looks familiar. She looks familiar. I've never seen her before. I'm good with names. I'm good with faces. I would have known if I would have met her before, but something stood out and she just looked familiar. So I awkwardly went into our WhatsApp text Tetris group and I DM'd her directly. And I was like, "Hey, Team Messy back. Um, are you a Totah by chance?" And she's like, "Yes, I am. It's my mom's maiden name." And so from that point, so I'm really into family lineage. I'm really into family trees. I am trying to kind of recreate more of not just the tree, but family books for my sister's kids so that they understand lineage. I think the more and more generations that are here, the more they're going to forget. And I need to take my knowledge and put it down. So the second she's like, "Yeah, I'm a Toda," but again, like we had just talked about, there's millions of them, right? So again, this is May of last year. And then she's like, "Yeah, my mom is." And I was like, "What's your mom's name?" And she's like, "You probably won't find her on the tree because they only put the men on the tree." And I was like, "Well, the women are on there. Their offsprings just aren't on there, right? Because those children are no longer Todas." And so she's like, "Well, you'll probably just be better off finding my uncle Fuad." And the second she said Fuad, I was like, "Oh, this isn't a far relationship. This is a close relationship." Fuad was one of my father's favorite cousins. And then I was like, okay, wait, confirm, who are your grandparents? And she said Jirius and Noor. And I just stopped dead in my tracks. I was like, oh, your grandfather and my grandfather are brothers, right? Because again, it's that close that I didn't even have to go reference the family tree. I knew when she said that. And then I think it took like two or three other clarification questions. And I was like, oh, you mean your grandmother's house in Ramallah, the home that I was just at when I was there in 2017. So I have been to her grandmother's house. I think one of the times I was there in 2000, her grandmother was alive. Like, it's this weird connection that we're in the same place at the same time, and we don't even know that we are of the same kin, same family home, right down to it. So I think I started sending her pictures of her grandmother's home. I'm like, is this the house you're talking about? Is this it? And she's like, yeah. So she went and she told her mom. Tala, do you want to pick up from when you confirmed the story with your mom that we were closely related?
Yeah. So my mom was so excited. She's like, "What?" And so we ended up like, I just figured out all the connections, and my mom was like, "Oh, I know Joanne's dad. I know Joanne's uncle. There's some, fun stories there about marriage proposals that didn't happen."
Oh, wait, we got to talk about that next circle.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll
Some
save that tea
shay.
for the circle.
Exactly. But yeah, my mom was so excited. And Joanne had been sending me photos, and my mom has some old photos, but not that many. And so when I was showing her some of Joanne's old photos, she was just so thrilled to like see them. And so we ended up all getting together. Joanne came over to my mom's house when I was there. And we went through old photos and we were just like looking at things. And it actually, I mean, Joanne really spurred this to like actually write out the full family tree of like our line and write out all the names and all the kids' names. And I had never done this either. So there was a lot that I didn't know. And it was really, I still have it in I took a picture of it. It's
Mhm.
really messy. I need to make it better. Messy back, messy notes. Um, but it was really powerful to just like, I feel like it connected me to so much more family that I had no idea even existed. Like, I now know the name of my great grandmother. I know what she looks like. I have pictures now, and it was really like powerful to me. And just having that then spurred me to be like, okay, well now tell me about my grandma's side of the family. Tell me about my dad's side. Now I have like four really messy documents that I can reference. But yeah, I'm like, I can't believe I never thought to do this before Joanne.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so cool. Like that's really powerful. Okay, have you guys brought in, I think I know the answer for Joanne, but have you guys brought in any other family members, any other Totas into the Tatreez cult, I mean community?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, Tala always has a contingency at every circle. She's got like her
That's true.
crew.
Yeah.
I have used it as a way, I mean, I say this sassy to like coerce people. Like, if you want to hang out with me, you have to do Tatreez, right? Like in the lab, because this is what I do, right? Like, you want to do it. So I have gifted my sister massive like Tatreez kits where I'm like, so I had this idea of we will stitch the same thing and frame it and we'll swap the gifts, right? Because it's a big gift, right? But we'll
Hmm.
do it for one another. So I gifted that to her a year ago. My cousin Remy, she's a big Tatreezer now. She comes to the circles. Her niece, I've gifted a Tatreez kit to before, right? Where like I have gifted this to multiple people to one, you share my obsession, but two, hope that they have the same connection as well, right? It's not, I think what I love the most about our community is there's no gatekeeping. Everyone's sharing this and trying to share the love, not being like, this is my art, this is what I do. So I've definitely have done this with like some sisters and cousins. My aunt back home is just impressed with how much Tatreez we do here, where she almost feels like it's a little bit dying back there, right?
Mm.
Versus here we are just holding on to everything as traditionally as we can. And she comments a couple of things. She's like, no one's sitting around baking kakal goods like you. And I'm like, I mean, where else am I going to get it? Like, I don't have the
Yeah.
opportunity. I have to go,
Mhm.
I have to make it.
Yeah.
But it's the same idea, right? Just like how we share food and want to bring, it's the same thing that I want to do with Tatreez and gift and bring other family members into it. And I think that Tatreez circles also help, right? You know, letting people know that it doesn't have to be a personal activity, right? You know, when we always teach like beginners, like, you know, the thought that your string has to be the length of your width, and that's because women traditionally did it in circles and you didn't want to be flinging your arm everywhere. And that's the original idea of it. So it's definitely been a good way to connect with people. And, you know, again, if you want to hang out with me, you better do this. And, you know, it's really helped them also connect. And I like seeing that connection for other people because not everyone's had the opportunity, like Tala and I, to go back home and really immerse ourselves in all things Palestine. So to share this art and this gift with them is just another beautiful way outside of, you know, food, which we always do.
Yeah, I've also found that it's helped me connect with a lot of older relatives who I've maybe lost touch with.
Mm.
Like one project that I was doing for a while that I finished now because there's no more is my khaltos would give me their old Tatreez pieces that were like half done that they just like abandoned because either they got tired or when they came from Palestine to here, they just like never picked it up again. So I would take those old pieces and finish them up for them. Or they'd give me their pieces that were like fraying or got messed up, and so then I could fix it. So that has been really powerful too, to like take these like old like Tatreez pieces that like never got finished or were ruined because of like the displacement and dispossession and then just like bring it to completion. And so yeah, the one behind me, I know it's a podcast, but anyway, you guys can see it.
You'll send us a picture. We'll post it on social because I
There you
think it's
go.
really cool to like I think it's a really cool concept and I've seen other people do this where they've been able to get half finished tetris from family
Hmm.
members and complete it. Like I mean I can only imagine like what that feels like emotionally, especially like being able to look at it
Yeah.
every day too.
Mhm.
Yeah. And okay, here's another pitch for Messy Back. If you flip it, you know which part is mine and which part's my
Oh my
gato.
God, send both sides of it, front and
Please.
back. We have
Actually,
to
I
see.
only want pictures of the back of both of your work. No
It's
front,
like
no
it's
front.
like before Tala and after Tala, right? We'll see that demarcation.
Yes, love it.
Okay, but is it actually that messy? I find it, I feel like after all this time, you probably have gotten really good.
It depends how much I want. Like, I can be clean
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I
yeah.
really try, but sometimes I don't really want to try.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like just doing tattoos while like sitting on the couch and like
Yeah.
being, or like in circles. Honestly, I can't really focus that well. So, like, it's gonna be messy from a circle, and
Yeah.
that's okay. I don't mind, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
support. I'm part of, I want to join Team Messy Bag.
Hop
Yes.
on
Bump you,
board.
Amani. Bye.
Okay, relax. Oh my God, why am I being attacked? I am actually supportive of Team Messy Back. I love
Yes.
my Team
And
Messy
Manny has
Back.
been always supportive.
Like, actually, okay, so Joanne, I want to go back to something that you said about your khato back home because it's interesting. And Lena, I don't know if you remember when we were in Jordan last year and we were talking to one of my aunts there, she was like kind of tripping out that we like were so into Tatreez and like we were going to all these places to see all this historic Tatreez and like so into it and we were Tatreezing ourselves. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that like machine embroidery is has become such the norm there. But I'm just curious, like, I don't know, have you gone back to Palestine since you've been like really able to start stitching? No, right? Because it's been pretty
No,
recently.
yeah, no, I haven't been back home since 2017.
Okay, okay.
Um, but again, I think, you know, when something is just, you know, visually, like it's just Addy there, right? It's just in
Yeah,
there everywhere around them
yeah,
versus for us, right? We're like, you know, we go to like Palestine Day and we like see like a nice headband that we don't have
yeah.
access to otherwise, right? versus, having to create our own things to bring it to life. So it's not just wall hangings, right? Like wearing it as jewelry, like
Hmm.
making, everyone in the Bay Area, not everyone, but I've been inspired by several people that have like their cute denim jackets with like Tatreez on
Yes.
them, right? Making it so that it is more visible and it's not something that is so like, oh, I saw Tatreez. That's how it is back home. They're just saturated in it. And it's also a dying art because again, they're traveling 3 hours a day to get to work. Who's sitting
Yeah.
down doing Tetris?
Yeah.
So I think the more that like we bring it to the everyday, not that we're ever gonna, normalize it in that way where we don't appreciate the beauty of it, but I think just because it's been so a part of their everyday versus for us, we have to bring it to life.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's also something to be said about the way it's been monetized over the last 77 plus years. Um, and like this, like I tell this story all the time. I'm not going to repeat it, but like I tell the story about how my dad finally realized the value of Tatreez, and it was after seeing me do it so many times.
Mm.
And it's because for him, and I think this is a common thought for a lot of Palestinians in our community, it's just like, oh, it's just like this something that you can buy from a refugee woman. And it's just like you're just buying it to empower her. You're not buying it for the actual art of Tatreez. And I think there's something there too about that mentality that is shifting. And I don't necessarily think it's for everybody, but I do, like I see it in my family, for example. And when I started doing Tatreez, everyone was like, "What are you doing? Like, why?
Hmm.
Like, why are you making your own thobe? Why are you going through that pain? Like, just go hire a khayal to make it for you." And I'm like, that defeats the whole purpose. The whole point is that you're doing it for yourself and that you're designing it in a way that expresses your personality and what you see as beautiful. So there is, I think, something to be said about like I don't know if it's a stigma or education about the practice, which is changing a lot. I feel like, especially in the last 18 months, especially, there's been a lot of people kind of really excited about trying it out for themselves. And it took a genocide for us to get here, but I think there is something really powerful about us returning back to this concept of doing it for yourself, even if, no one sees it. No one has to see your back. No one has to, like, it's not meant for, someone to judge. It's meant for you to just feel connected to Palestine and create something that's uniquely yours. And yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of, you guys are making me reflect on that.
Yeah, I
I mean, it's
even
hard to, sorry, go ahead, Tala.
I was just gonna say, even for like I like recently visited one of my khaltos who lives in Cyprus, and she has done so much tatris. And even like she had it sort of like tucked away and like in, I think a lot of like people do who did tatris back in the day, like now they just have it tucked away in their cabinets and their drawers. And I think when I visited her because she knows I'm so excited about tatris and I wanted to talk about it and see everything. I feel like that even for her was a moment where she's like, oh, like, right, this is art. Like, this is a thing
Yes.
that like
Yeah.
is powerful and really beautiful that I made and I can now share with you. Um, yeah, so I think like even that like realization that this is art and this is beauty like has been lost sometimes on people who even do it back in the day.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, very real. That's very beautiful. I love that she was able to come through that realization through your eyes and like the way you're viewing Tetris. And I think that
Yeah.
also speaks to like the generational thing, like you mentioned right before, like the fact that it's been something that's helped you connect with older generations of your family, older generations of Palestinians. And it's like this universal language, whether you're in diaspora, whether you're in Palestine, whether you're in diaspora in the Arab world, like whatever your experience is, like you have this connection, like through Tatreez because it is like this universal language. And even as it continues to evolve, where maybe Team Messi back is who you are today as a Palestinian. And like as you said earlier, and I loved how you said earlier, thought that you mentioned like like I'm Palestinian diaspora, like that's my story, like I have a little privilege, so I could use a little extra thread, like like I know you're saying it in jest, but like it's also like true to the fact that again you're like your story's evolving like it continues
Hmm.
to evolve as a Palestinian. So I think it's really really cool that you've been able to use it not just as a way to connect with cousins of your generation, but also with like your elders, which I think is really special.
Yeah, I just think now I'm rambling, but like the trees like connects us like to our past.
Yeah.
But it also connects us to like our present, like thinking about Joann, but then like also the future. Like how do
Yeah.
we want these to work for us moving forward? And does it
Yeah.
always have to be the same?
Yeah. And okay, I think a little blend of the past, the present, and potentially the future. I know you guys both are kind of on this, the next step, if you will, or the current stage of your Tatreez journeys on these photo Tatreez projects that you guys are working on that are tied to your families. And I'm gonna let you guys share the story. I know who has the Joann, is it you have the archival images, right? Or I know both of you guys have some. But I don't know, maybe you want to start us off, Joann, with kind of like what the project is and how you guys have been working together on this and separately
Uh,
too.
so I don't know, somehow on the internet I found like this fast photo scanner, right? So it scans hundreds of photos an hour. So I was back home in 2016 and my aunt had one of those flatbed dinosaur things. Like, it took 2000 hours, right? So I got all of my mom's family photos when I was in Palestine 2016, 2017, and I made like a photo album on Facebook just to share with all of like the cousins. Again, we're in diaspora everywhere in the world, right? But they were just beautiful black and white photos. But again, I'm like, I need to know names, dates, everything. So I started this in 2016. Fast forward to pandemic, both of my parents have passed away. I have gotten all the things, right, from these grandparents, these parents, and I'm the holder of it. But not only the holder of this, like this is stuff that I love, right? Like I said, I love family lineage, I love family stories, but we don't know as much as we should know. So I've gone on a quest. So back to my fast scanner, I found this thing. I could scan 600 photos in an hour. So I have archived up to 20,000 photos of my family going back from 1930 Palestine to when digital photos became a thing in 2000. So we're talking across 7 decades of digitizing photos, putting metadata on them, so that I can find them pretty easy as long as I know a little bit of information. And then I put them on Google Photos, and I wanted one of my cousins and other people to be thrilled about this. But again, like no one's really as excited as I am. So like I said earlier, I really want, the next generation, my sister's kids, I want them to have some sort of connection. So I wanted to put together books for both my mother's side of the family and my father's side of the family, which is how the shared side of the family. And, put faces, names, dates, information. Like my great grandfather was this really cool Falahi farmer, and his donkey that my grandfather inherited, his name was Mercedes, half donkey, half Mercedes, right? Like these really cool stories. I want them somewhere and I want to share them, right? So I learned from this really awesome Tatreez artist, Amani, how to Tatreez photos. And that was like game changer, right? I'm not just going to scan these photos into this book I want to create. I'm going to Tatreez these photos and I'm going to make them pop out and I'm going to make them stand out. And so I've been slowly working on this, but magically, while I've had this idea in my head and working on this, Tala has also been doing some for our shared family side. That I'm like, wait, she can actually help me with my Totah book. She's doing some Tatreez photos on some shared family photos here, right? So she sent one recently, and it had my grandfather in it from when he was a child. I don't think I've
Wow.
ever seen my grandfather as a child. And so she shared this photo, and it was just, I mean, so emotional. Shared it with my brother. We're both like sitting there quietly in tears, being like, look at Cito as a child. Like, this is a gift that she doesn't even know she's sharing, right? So doing Tatreez photos has been just a ginormous game changer. Not only am I an archivist in some sort of ways, I want to add pizzazz to them. So again, slowly doing it, just picking out the preferred photos, figuring out which ways. And again, Amanda, you've been really helpful in a lot of circles, helping me conceptualize it, right? Because again, how my brain works is not so much to design, but you've helped me in some ways to really conceptualize this. And then seeing the ones that Tal is working on has also inspired me to be like, okay, I need to speed it up. I want to get to the Totah side so I can start working on some of these photos. But this is, going to be a lifelong project, right? Like, I don't expect in my perfectionist ways that I'm going to get this done in 2.2 seconds, but I'm going to take time with it. And like Tala said, learning these stories about our great grandparents, our shared great grandparents, all of these components of what our fiber of our being is and who we are. So it's been really fun. And I like the idea of sort of like mapping out these stories, learning the little that I have, but thank God for meeting Tala's mom who can share some stories that I can add to this. But like I said, she helped identify some really big gaps in my brain, right? I will share this one story with you. It's really embarrassing on my behalf for someone who really likes family lineage. My grandfather and her grandfather are one of 14 children.
Mhm.
One of their siblings was a nun. Okay. So I grew up calling her Auntie Rahbe. The word Rahbe means nun. I didn't know that. I thought
Mhm.
Rahbe was her name. Okay. So when I am trying to fill out family tree, and this is while my father was alive, I was like, what was the nun's name? And he's like, I don't know. And I went down to the family tree looking at it, just being like, why is she not on here? Why is she not on here? Why did they leave the nun off? And thinking like, is this some sort of like, um, whatever. She was a nun. She's no longer part of the family. Did we excommunicate her? Why is she not there? Fast forward to 2024, going to meet Tala's mom, being like, hey, can you answer some gaps in this? It's not that she wasn't on there, it's that we didn't know what her name was before she became a nun, right? Because when she became a nun, she took on one name, and we knew her as
Yeah.
Esmeralda or Amelia. Amelia.
Mhm.
See, still don't know.
It's like, I
But
don't know.
her birth name was Namit, right? Like
That I know.
I would have never known that. My father didn't even know that, right? But it
Yeah.
took meeting Tala in a Tatreez circle. And again, I knew this nun. Like I grew up with her. She was
Hmm.
very close to us. Like she was a gift to us. But like, how did I not even know her name? So Tala's mom was like, no, she's on here. You just don't know her name. I'm like, thanks. Thanks, Auntie. That's helpful. So, filling in those gaps is really helpful and it has inspired me to get a little bit further into this project.
I mean, to be fair, 14 siblings, that's a lot to keep track of,
Yeah,
like
that
our
is.
families are huge because I feel like my uncle is really obsessed with this as well. And he has a
Hmm.
book for the Barqawi family and it has all the different, branches. But it's also like knowledge that has typically been shared orally. Like people don't
Hmm.
typically write this down. And so if you don't
Which
have
is
access
why.
to the person who can tell you, I guess this is Tala's mom, if you don't have access to that person or the people who have this knowledge, it's like that's why it's so amazing that you're writing it down because there's no
Yep.
way you could have kept up with with all of the
Hmm.
details.
But and this is also like how Tala was saying, like Tetris is getting her to connect with like her elders and all of that. It's getting me to talk to, different family members around the world. Like, hi, I
Yeah.
haven't spoken to you once in my 40 years of life, but I'm working on this. Can you tell me about your grandfather or your aunt or uncle? Like, can you give me some names, dates? And I'm going back and asking people questions about people that were around in like 1870, right? Like that's a long time
Wow.
ago, right? I'm like, do you
Yeah.
happen to know what
Hmm.
her maiden name was? But it's helping me to connect from, a large part of family everywhere in diaspora, being like, hey, you're my mom's cousin. You've never met me, but like, nice to meet you. Can you answer some questions? So again, it's just a lot of different connections in so many different ways. But that's kind of like what thread does, right? The thread binds us together. It's, in multiple ways. It's bringing us together. It's keeping us together, whether it's in Tatreez or in these photos or trying to figure out our family lineage so that we can document it.
Yeah, it's so important to be able to do that. And, a lot of people don't have that luxury. So the fact that you guys do, it's so important. Like, I love that you guys are doing this. And there's so many layers to it. There's the imagery that, you archive, Joanne. Then there's the stories. There is this family tree. And now there's this addition of like, making it a little bit more vibrant with the
Mm-hmm.
threes. I love that. I cannot wait to like continue every time you guys post like a new picture, you guys show up to a circle, like stitching a new picture. It's so exciting to see. There is something like to me personally, there's something a little extra special about like when you're doing these photo these projects with your own family's like photos. Like it's just obviously it's more personal. It just feels more powerful. It's just it's beautiful to see. I love it. And I've been like honestly loving to see what you guys have been doing, the black and whites, the colors, the I encourage everyone to like take a look and we'll share your guys' socials and everything and share some imagery of the work that you guys are doing. And kind of keeping on this same train of conversation, what do you guys hope to do? Like, what's the next chapter of this? Like, I know, Joann, you said it's going to be like a lifelong project, but like, what do you guys want as the next chapter of your Tatreez journeys, whether it's with this project or with something else?
Yeah, I think I personally have been loving the photo Tatreez. It's like you also are getting to like look at these people and engage with the photo in a way that you don't really when you just look at a photo, right? You'll look at it or you can like frame it, put it up, but this is like I'm staring at these pictures for so
Mm.
long stitching. So it's felt really powerful and it's gotten, I think, people to share old photos more than they maybe otherwise would have. So I had mentioned my trip to Cyprus to visit my khalto. I am currently stitching a photo like for her, and it's a picture of her in a thobe, and she's standing in the garden in the Ramallah house. And so I'm stitching that, and it's like it just feels so powerful, right? To like see her in a thobe in the Ramallah house, and I'm just like gonna stare at it for hours and hours while I stitch it.
Wow.
So I just want to keep doing like all the photos and then like gift them to the people. So like I'm gonna gift this to my
Oh,
khalto and I just stitched one for my mom. That's my mom and my great grandma and they're standing together in Ramallah. So I gifted that to my mom for Mother's Day. So I feel like gifting these things feels really powerful. Yeah, I also just did well, I'm doing it now, a raffle for a customized photo Tatreez to help raise funds for my family, my friend's family in Gaza. So I feel like there's just so many ways to utilize photo Tatreez. So thank you, Amani, for
yeah. Oh my
teaching
God.
me.
Of course. Thank you guys
But
for running
Oh
with it and
yeah.
making it your own. Like, I love
yes.
seeing it. And you guys both, like both Tala and Joann, you guys both do a lot of work with like raffles and fundraisers and stuff. So we'll definitely share that because we're recording a little earlier versus when this episode will air, but I definitely want to share that because you guys are constantly doing stuff and it's amazing that you guys have the time and the energy to do all this amazing work. And I think it's important for people to support it. So we'll definitely share all of that information.
In
Amazing.
true cousin fashion, I have gifted 99.9% of anything that I've stitched, right? Like one, I'm anti-consumerism, right? So like this has just made me like at the beginning of the month, I'm like, whose birthday is this month? Like, am I going to stitch them a card? Am I going to make them earrings, right? Like it makes me one think about someone not like the day of to be like, let's put an Amazon ordering for junk that they can get themselves. So it's really stretched. And it was funny because you said something like 2 circles ago, Manny. You're like, I don't make wearables. And I never thought about that because all I do is make wearables to like gift to people, right? So that they're
Yeah.
showing Tetris, right? So, I've just gifted, whatever I make, thinking about that person. I've also used your art of photo Tetris to honor people who have passed away and like sharing their photos with like their family members. But I've just made so many things, but then when I can't put a value to it, right? Like how Lena was saying, like I would never sell a piece. But if I've been inspired by so many people on this podcast. I think it was the Halima project. She said that there was like some patterns that she had for free. I took one of her watermelon map of Palestine watermelon, put it on a cafe. I made $700 for a family in one raffle off of
Yeah.
that, right? So what? That's 4 hours of my work, $30 for a cafe. That, sustained a family for a couple of days. So once like, I contacted a little bit of reinforcement, I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. So like I would have themed raffles, like it was olive harvest season. So I had some fresh olive oil from back home. And then I just stitched like a tea towel with like an olive pattern on there. $5 raffles for people in their brain to think like I could get that for $5 across a couple of people or the extra generous people who donate more than five. But once like it became reinforcing or bountiful in some ways, I just kept doing it, right? But then, the perfection idea came in, right? Like I'm giving this to people, like this can't be messy, right? So then I started like having to alter what I was doing. But I've definitely done a lot of raffles, and I appreciate everyone who has been like, very generous. And that's a lot of the same people, right? Like these are the compassionate people with a bleeding heart that whether they want the product or not, right? They just want to help and know that that money's going to someone in Gaza. So it's been fun, but doing these raffles has really become like just a part of my everyday. Like I'm constantly thinking about what can I make next? Like what is selling? Like what are people excited about? Like making graphs of like this raffle made this much at Christmas time. I think Lena, you inspired me. I made Christmas ornaments, right? Like those didn't bring in as much because again, half of the population doesn't even celebrate Christmas. So like I've had to think about like what is going to draw in the most people, but I've been largely inspired by people you've had on this podcast. Obviously, both of you have inspired majority of what I have done in terms of just learning or doing the photo stuff. But again, like I said, like just the gifting. It's the gift that keeps on giving, right? It's going to be way more personable, even if it is small, right? Small set of earrings. Tala saw me working on those 2 weeks ago. They took me forever. But again, I spent 6 hours on that. I didn't just click a button on the internet. Like I put
Yeah.
my heart into this for you. So that's also just, like I said, my hobby has become my personality, and it's the way that I can continue to connect to people.
All right. So I know we could continue to talk forever, but being mindful of time, we always like to ask before we say goodbye to our guests, if there are any major life lessons that you've learned from Tatreez. So not to put any pressure, but maybe Tala, do you want to start?
Oh
You want to kick us
gosh.
off?
I should have prepared for this question. Um, I think Tatreez has definitely like instilled confidence in me of like what yeah, like, kind of getting back to the messy back stuff of like, I don't have to be a perfectionist and what I make is still beautiful, even if it's not perfect. Um, and I think the other lessons that Tatreez has taught is yeah, there are so many connections to be made with people, and in like ways I just never would have realized, or with people who I already connect with, but it's now gotten deeper through this craft, and Tatreez is just so much more than a craft to me.
Joanne?
Life lessons of Tatreez. So much, right? I think in honoring our past, our present, our future, I think, the community that I've learned to embrace, and again, being so inspired by all of these wonderful humans, not just their Tatreez, but their stories, right? And just how genuine and open and fun, right? Where I'm like, this you know me, like I'm driving an hour to circles, right? Just because I want
Yes.
to be a part of this community. Um, Again, the team messy back in the perfection thing, like that has allowed me to engage in the art without holding my breath and being tense. It
Hmm.
has been therapeutic in a million and one ways. Like we've talked about this over and over. It's not just the hand and the body, but being able to do it whether we're in peace and thinking about our past ones while we're stitching their photos, we're thinking about our martyrs, whatever it may be. It's been incredibly therapeutic, and to use it as a form of therapy, not just an art. I think that it's incredibly powerful, and to also just tie it into just honoring anything that people do by hand and with love, right? I think, just knowing, and I learned this from one of my aunts, that handmade gifts are just the best. Like it doesn't matter that there's no actual physical money that went to it, but the love that goes into it. And I think sharing that has been incredibly powerful. So it's gone beyond Tetris, right? I want to like, cook for people and do other forms of gift giving by my hand and with love. So Tatreez has just put all of these pieces together, but more so than anything, I think the therapeutic components of being mindful. And every time I'm doing a stitch, thinking about a martyr, thinking about a family member, thinking about our people and what they're going through, and how privileged we are to have this community, to be in diaspora and to be able to connect. It's just been life changing. So thank you, ladies, for bringing this into my life.
Uh,
Habibi. You're so sweet. Thank you for contributing to the community. Like,
Yes,
there's no
thank you.
community without all of us.
It's true. And thank you for driving so far for the circles.
Oh, you're coming to San Jose for the
Oh
next
yes,
one.
I'll come to
Yes.
you.
So excited. I was telling Lena before we started recording, I was like, we're going to Joanne's house before. We're all going to hang out. So really excited.
Oh,
Yes, we're gonna
Tatreez is
teach you
gonna extend
Tawla.
into Tawala. It's gonna extend
Hmm.
beyond that. You
Oh,
know, we
yes.
can do cooking classes. We could do all of it.
Oh my God, I love it. No, I mean, ultimately, Tatreez is so magical. And this is like the manifestation of it is through your stories, your connection with each other. I'm obsessed with all of it. Okay, well, both, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to hear both of your stories. And another reminder on like why this podcast is so awesome is because we get to meet people like you and make these connections and build the community. I love it. I love it all so much. How can people follow you guys and get in touch if they wanna talk more about your what you guys are up to? Tell us all the places.
Yeah, well, I have an Instagram. It's at Tatreez with Tala.
Cute. Everyone should go follow that now. Instagram, you know, me, elder millennial, barely know how to use social media, but I've learned in the last couple of years. My handle is at joann.com.
I love that. Every time I see it, I think of Joann.com, which I know is probably the purpose.
It was before Joann's Fabric became bankrupt, okay?
Yeah, yeah, I know. No, I know. Thank you guys so much. We really, really loved having you guys on.
Thanks for having Team Messy
Thank
back.
you. Yes,
Yay,
thanks for
we love.
promoting us and our manifesto.
Yes. I'm expecting that manifesto written. We're posting it to the world.
Yes, yes.
Thank you both. I'll see you both soon.
That was so much fun. Honestly, I felt like it was almost like a Tatreez circle on the podcast. And that's what it felt like. It was like we were just chatting about Tatreez and Team Messy Back. And like that's actually what we talk about in a lot of circles.
That's so funny. I mean, that's the vibe of our SF Bay Area to three circles.
I
Like,
love
it's
it.
just good vibes, good people. Like, I obviously am biased, but big fan of both Joanne and Tata, and I just adore them. I adore their energy, and even you and I talked a little bit about this offline, but one of the things I always love, and people again, like all jokes aside, people know I'm like obsessive about my back. But I also say like I didn't like the way Tala was explaining it, like how, she was being taught and it was being enforced on her. Like I can see the pressure and how that's not fun. I always say like, for me, I like a clean back because it's like own personal thing. It's like this puzzle. It's fun for me. But I can see how it can be this barrier. And you actually said it, Lena, before we were recording, but like you said, like this felt like a conversation where people are giving themselves permission to like do things
Yeah.
their own way. And I like that you said that because I agree. And I love the way like both Joanne and Tadler are like putting it. It's like, like I'm not gonna put this pressure on myself. I'm just gonna like do the thing, and how it allowed like Tata specifically to like really embrace the threes. And like she said it too. I like on the when you I think you asked her how messy are these backs. Like I will say I have seen her backs like they're not that bad. Like they're not that
Yeah,
bad.
I'm sure they're not. I'm sure they're
But
not.
I think again, it goes back to what we were saying earlier during the episode. Like, I know we're always the hardest on ourselves,
Yeah.
right? So I love the conversation. I love both of their energy, and I absolutely love that they met and got connected and then formed like deeper family connections through Tatreez. And again, being biased, but specifically through our local Tatreez like community here in San Francisco. So it warmed my heart to have them on and like listen to their story and have them share it.
I love that. Yeah. And I think on the permission front as well, I'm now remembering because I remember there were like several instances during the conversation. I was like, oh my God, I love that this is an opportunity to give permission to somebody. But it was like one on the messy back, but two on the like valuation of Tatreez and how Tala was talking about her visiting her khalto and bringing it out and like almost like giving permission to her
Yeah,
khalto to like show off her work and like have that
true.
conversation. And also, just ultimately, on top of everything, it's like giving all of us permission to ask questions to our elders and ask our family members to get to know each other and get to know these people who came before us and, you know, who have had a huge impact on who we are today. Let's be real, whether it's directly or indirectly. So yeah, I really like that this whole episode was like basically giving permission to all of us to kind of come to all of this as ourselves
Hmm.
because that's what we are. We are a community. We are, and all of us are part of it. Like it's not a community, like you said, without any one of us not included. So
Yeah.
I really love that.
Yeah, and I think again, like the last thing I'll say on it, Tala had commented about like the fact that she might not be doing everything the quote unquote pristine traditional way. And I think it's very, especially as somebody who teaches Tatreez, I think it's extremely important for all of us to understand and honor the traditions, but as has been said many times in many different conversations with so many different Tatreez artists that we've spoken to on this podcast and separately, like Tatreez is also something to make your own.
Hmm.
So you learn and you honor those traditions. You acknowledge those traditions, but it's okay to make it your own.
Yeah.
So it's just great to see people do that. And yeah, cannot wait to see what both of them continue to create. Well, all right. Again, thank you guys so much for listening to Tatreez Talk. We always have a blast chatting with you. And of course, as usual, we want to hear your own Tatreez stories. So please share them with us at tatreeztalk@gmail.com, and we might have you on an upcoming episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite listening platform and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. You can follow me at Min Amani and Lena at Lena Stob, and you can follow the pod at Tatreez Talk. We'll talk to you soon.